Hey everybody, it's Tuesday once again, and that means what? It's story time. Hey, I want to just say something about Stony the Clown. I've had a couple people ask me, when's Stony going to be back on story time? And I just want to say, with my eye injury, I just don't want to try putting the makeup on right now with my eye. So till my eye gets better, Stony probably won't be making an appearance on story time. So hope that helps some of the rest of you that may be looking for Stony to be here for story time. All right. Well, hey, for all you young at hearts out there, I hope you're doing well. And the weather's getting a little colder, so stay warm and watch your health, get plenty of rest, drink plenty of fluids, and just wear your mask and wash your hands, because we don't want you to get sick. All right. This is for all of you guys, but Janet Huffman was a kindergarten teacher, and I don't know if she tried this or not. And for Karen Tishner, you may want to try this and see if it works for you. A kindergarten teacher decided to do show and tell. And so she gave the kids an assignment to come back the next day and bring something to show what their religion was. Now, this was a Christian school. So they were to go home after school and talk to their parents and come up with something they could bring the next day for show and tell that would show their religion. Well, the first boy to get up was named Benjamin. And Benjamin brought a Star of David. So, of course, you know he was Jewish. Next person to get up was little Mary. Mary brought with her a rosary. And so you can guess Mary was a Catholic. Well, the third person to get up was Larry. And guess what Larry brought? Larry brought a casserole. Can you guess what his religion was? Well, it was probably Christian or Baptist, one or the other. So anyway, okay. Well, this story I want to tell you today, I'm calling it The Falling Library. The Falling Library. And this is actually a true story. I want to take you back quite a few years to 1976. In 1976, Janet and I were youth minister at Catlin, Illinois. Catlin Church of Christ. And we were there, had a nice ministry going there, but some things happened in the church. The minister left, the minister of education left. That left me, who was the youth minister and the associate minister with the deaf people, to be the only one there. And so they brought in a few people now and then to do some preaching, but I was doing a lot of preaching while they were looking for a minister. And that took about a year. Well, during that year, our son Keith was born in January, and they finally were able to get a new minister at the church. And we were trying to decide what we were going to do. We already had our daughter and we had our son now, and we were thinking about maybe trying to find a new place to go and minister. Well, a church in Fort Myers, Florida wanted us to come down there and be their minister. So I actually flew from Grand Rapids, Michigan down to Florida and was interviewed down there by the church. And they no, I didn't. It was Chicago, not Grand Rapids, that I flew from. Getting ahead of myself here a little bit. They wanted me to be their youth minister. We were thinking about it. But at the same time, we had an offer to go to Barreton, Michigan, and be their first full-time ever preacher. The church was fairly old, but they were not very large, and they had not really had a full-time minister before. All their ministers had to have jobs in the community in order to be the preacher there. So, and probably we should have had one too, because the pay was not that great. This is in 1976. So we were kind of mulling things over, and eventually I had been preaching so much at the Catlin Church that I decided, you know, I think that's what I would like to do. And so we accepted the preaching ministry at Barreton Church of Christ in Barreton, Michigan. Now, we went there. They had actually just moved out of town and built a new education wing that they used for their sanctuary. And on the side of the educational unit, there were several classrooms, and there was a kitchen, and there was a fellowship hall, but we used the fellowship hall as the worship center. And so when we moved there, we lived in a parsonage, but there was no office in the new building that they built. And so the leadership got their heads together and decided that they would turn one of the classrooms into my office there. Well, that was okay. That was a pretty good idea. It was only about a mile out of town where the church was on the major highway. And so we unpacked all my books. In 1976, I'd only been out of college for 4 years. Janet also. So my library wasn't that big yet. And so in this classroom, there were no bookshelves. So a couple of the guys, Louis Huff and Tom Cummins, they both have passed on now, but they took the job on of putting shelves on one of the walls of the classroom that would become my office. They put 5 shelves 10 foot long on one wall for all of my books. Well, not only was I the minister of this church, Barreton Church of Christ, I was also the secretary. I did all the printing of the bulletin and the newsletter and anything else like that needed to be done, because there was no secretary. And that wasn't Janet's cup of tea, so I did all of that as well. And I even did a lot of the janitor work sometimes. Well, back in 1976, there may have been copy machines around, but we had a mimeograph machine. How many of you remember a mimeograph machine? All right, a few of you do. Well, you have this green thing, green sheet that's you type on it, and it actually puts holes in this film, green film. And then once you get it all done, you take it off and put it on. You actually put it on the cylinder of this mimeograph machine, which is full of some kind of ink, and that's how you then can print, because the ink will come through the holes that you have made in this green filmy thing. Well, so I was, one day we'd been there, I don't know, probably 9 months maybe, and I was running off the the Sunday bulletin coming up, and of course the mimeograph machine, it was sitting on a table up against the wall, and you have to really crank this thing, and it goes ka-thunk, ka-thunk, ka-thunk when it goes around, spits out the paper and with the printing on it, and you can't go real fast because you got to give the ink a chance to dry and all of that. It was, I guess, a good way to print, but sure, copy machines sure are a whole lot better these days. And so I was cranking away on the mimeograph machine, running off the bulletins for Sunday, and all of a sudden there was an avalanche of books crashing down to the floor, and the vibration of the mimeograph machine going ka-thunk, 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 hitting the wall because it was sitting on this table, caused the bookshelves, the top bookshelves, to start falling down, and of course then the next shelf fell down, and then the next shelf, and it was kind of like a lineup of dominoes, and just wiped all those 5 rows of bookshelves off the wall, and all my books onto the floor. So, come to find out, Louis and Tom weren't that great of carpenters. We should have Scooter back then up there, because I don't know, he probably wasn't even born back in 1976. But they had not bothered to put the shelves into any studs. It was just in the drywall and the wood paneling. And so over time of making that mimeograph ka-thud, ka-thud, ka-thud against that wall on that table, it loosened up enough of them that they just began to fall. So I'm calling this story the Falling Library. The Falling Library. Now, here's a question for all of you Westportians out there. Which building is the tallest building in Westport? Any ideas? Well, it's got to be the library because it has the most stories. All right, well, that's our story for today, and I'm sticking to it. Hope you have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you Sunday in church. All right, take care, everybody.